Daled Mishnah Aleph. The Mishnah now reverts back to what we were discussing towards the end of Perek Gimel. In Perek Gimel, Mishnah Tes, we were at the stage where the Kohen Gadol is now going to choose the Shnei Seirim. Which of the he-goats is going to be Lashem, and which La'azoza. So he's already done his vidui on the parah, and then the Mishnah tells us he moves from the Mizrach HaAzara towards the Tzofan HaMizbeach. So if you remember, what we said was that if the Kodesh and the Kodesh Kodashim were over there, the Mizbeach was over here, he was moving from this area, bein the Mizbeach to the Ulam, and he was moving over here to the Shnei Seirim. And he then carries out the procedure of the Shnei Seirim. And we digress towards the end of the third parak to say that Ben Gamla had contributed to the Beis Hamikdash, that the two lots, one which said So'el Hashem and one which said La'azozel, that those two lots were originally made out of wood, and he made the little sort of lots out of gold. And therefore we digressed and discussed other contributions and philanthropy to the Beis Hamikdash, and we were mazki them l'shvach. And then we discussed those we were mazki n'gnai, those who were not considered as generous, they withheld things, and that's the end of Perek Gimel. So now, at the beginning of Perek Daled, we revert back to where we were up to regarding the So'el Hashem and the So'el Azozel. So, says the Mishnah, Toraf B'kalpi. He now has to choose, he has to actually do the lottery and choose which of the Shnei Seirim, which of the two goats are going to go Lashem and which Lazozel. So, Toraf B'kalpi. So what the Meiri says, that means Toraf B'kalpi, he means that he sort of mixed up the two together, the two gold plates or the two wood plates, depends which stage, were in the box. He would mix them together to make sure that he wouldn't be able to determine which one said Lashem, which one said Lazozel. It'll be a genuine lottery. Alternatively, Toraf B'kalpi means that he would snatch it. And again, it's the same idea, that he wouldn't be able to determine which was which, so he would sort of mix them and then quickly snatch it. So Toraf B'kalpi, he would snatch the goyrel, the lottery, the wooden or the gold plate, which said either Lashem or Lazozel, and he would snatch it up, v'her l'shnei gorelos, and he would pick up the two lots. Echot kosav v'lav Lashem, one of them would say Lashem, which actually means the four-letter name of Hashem, v'echot kosav v'lav La'azozel, and the other one would say La'azozel. And of course the one which says Lashem was going to be shechted, and the dam was going to be sprinkled in the Kodesh Kodashim on Yom HaKippurim. The So'el La'azozel would eventually be taken out and be thrown off the mountain as part of the Avodah of Yom HaKippurim. So, says the Mishnah, Haskan b'yiminoi v'rosh beis of mismoilo. When the Kohen Gadol would stand, he would be standing, as we mentioned previously, the Skan Kohen, the deputy Kohen Gadol, would be standing on his right, and the Rosh Beis Av would be standing on the left, which we described previously. Im shal shem ola b'yiminoi. If the card, the lottery, would come out with the shame of Hashem on his right hand, Haskan, the Skan Kohen who was standing on his right, Oimelo would say, Ishi Kohen Gadol, my master the Kohen Gadol, Hag b'yamincha, raise your right hand, and thereby show everyone that the shame Lashem had actually come out on your right hand. And that was actually considered a good sign, because it was considered auspicious if the lot which says Lashem was picked out with the right hand. And indeed the Gemara in Lamed Tes Amud Aleph tells us that throughout the 40 years when Shimon HaTzadik was the Kohen Gadol, throughout that time the slot which said Lashem always came out on his right hand. After that, sometimes it came out on his right hand and sometimes it came out on his left hand. Continues the Mishnah, Ve'im shal shem ola b'smoilei, if the So'el Hashem came out in his left hand, then Rosh Beis Av oimelei, Ishi Kohen Gadol hag b'smolcha. Then it would be the Rosh Beis Av, who would be on his left, would declare hag b'smolcha, raise your left hand, again to show people that the card which said So'el Hashem, which hand was on your left hand. Then, continues the Mishnah, Nesonoi al shnei haseirim. He would put he would put the lots, the So'el Hashem and the So'el Azozel, he would actually place them on the Shnei Seirim. Va'omer, and the Kohen Gadol would say, Lashem chatos. He would say those two words. Rabbi Shmuel omer, lo ha'etzorech lo chatos. He doesn't have to actually say the words chatos, elo lashem. You just have to say the word lashem. And the machlokas is a bit technical. It just turns on how to interpret the pasuk. The pasuk says in Vayikra Tes Zayin pasuk Tes, v'hikriv v'osohu chatos. Now the Tanakama understands that to mean that the Kohen Gadol makes it into the chatos. How? By saying lashem chatos. Rabbi Shmuel understands that the pasuk is not referring to the Kohen Gadol, but the subject of the pasuk is referring to the actual lot. That by placing the lot on the animal, that makes it into a chatos. So therefore, it suffices to say lashem. He doesn't have to actually say lashem chatos. And the people there in the Beis Hamikdash respond after him, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuso La'olam Va'ed, which, as we mentioned previously, is the standard response in the Beis Hamikdash, in like sort of similar to the Yomain that we would be familiar with nowadays. They would respond Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuso La'olam Va'ed, and this is not a continuation of Rabbi Shmuel speaking, but rather this is just a sort of an end clause of the Mishnah, which says that whenever the word Lashem would be said in the Beis Hamikdash, this was what how people would respond on hearing it. That is the end of Perek Daled, Mishnah Aleph.